Now, a perfect example of this is a man named Saul. And Saul was a Roman soldier of very high rank. And he lived shortly after the death of Jesus. And his job was to roam the countryside, find Christians, and kill them. That was his job. He had a brigade of men, and they would ride all over when they found Christians. He would condone arresting them, stoning them to death. He was known as a monster. Even his own men feared him. But that was his duty, to kill Christians. One day he was on the road to a little town called Damascus. And it tells us that on this road, he is all of a sudden surrounded by a whirlwind of light. And he fell from his horse. And he went into some sort of a seizure. He became very, very ill, and he was blinded. None of the rest of the men were hurt at all. So they took him into Damascus. They found a place where they could put him, and they found a caretaker for him. And for a long period of time, this caretaker saw over Saul and met all of his needs and eventually nursed him back to health. Well, as Saul began to get better, he asked the caretaker who he was and what he's all about, and he discovered that the caretaker who had saved his life and nursed him back to good health was actually a Christian. The same part of a group that he had been killing all this time. And so he said, "Tell me about Christianity. What do you believe in anyway?" And so the man started telling Saul about what Jesus taught, about loving your enemies, forgiveness, compassion, kindness, doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Agree with your adversary quickly. And Saul listened to this, and in that moment, his mind was transformed from what it had been, Saul, the Roman soldier, out to kill Christians, into a Christian at the highest level. He changed his name from Saul to Paul, and in that moment, he committed himself to being a Christian and to making a difference and to making things better. His caretaker said every place Jesus went, all he did was make things better for everybody. He had no prejudices. He had no discriminations. He made things better for everybody by teaching them how they could go out and make things better for other people. If it weren't for Paul, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today. If it weren't for Paul, we probably wouldn't know the name Jesus. Because after Jesus died, Paul went from town to town to town, traveling thousands of miles. Every town he set up a church. Every place that he went, he continued to teach what Jesus taught, and he established these strong Christian communities. And it was all based on going forth into the world and making things better in any given moment. He taught what Jesus taught. Once again, agree with thine adversary quickly. If there's a conflict, if there's some sort of an argument, if there is resentment, come to some sort of an agreement with your adversary, because that's going to make things better. If somebody has offended you, if somebody has taken something from you, if somebody has done some sort of a deed that burdened you, forgive them. Don't carry the grudge around in your heart. Don't carry the hatred with you. Don't carry the resentment with you. Forgive them. Let it go. Shake it off, because that will make things better. If somebody has made a mistake, caused a problem, done something that inconvenienced you, treat them the way you would want to be treated if you were that person, which is forgive them. Let it go. Treat them the way you would want to be treated if it was you, because that will make things better. Now, it is such a simple mission. It is such a simple ministry. It is such a simple philosophy or theology that each and every one of us has within us the humanness of our being. We have within us the spirituality of our being. And when the human being expresses from a spiritual point of view, the Christ is expressed, and everything is made a little better. So let that be our charge as we go out into the world. And it's not religion at all. It barely hinges on spirituality. It's just being human and recognizing that we're all in this together. We're all brothers and sisters on earth. We all have one home. We all have one goal, I would hope, which is to make a peaceful earth, a healthy earth, where everybody has enough food, and enough shelter, and enough physical care to live a healthy, wholesome life. Now, for many of us, to say that, oh my gosh, I have the Christ within me, or I'm expressing the Christ, or yesterday I held the door open for somebody and it was Duke the Christ that was doing this, we kind of shudder from that. We step back and say, no, wait a minute, I am not worthy of being Christ. Christ is the one on the cross. Christ is the one that was crucified for my sins. Christ is the one that came here and did miracles. But that was Jesus. And he was titled the Christ simply because he made things better. And each and every one of us can do the same thing. I'm saying claim the Christ within you. It's not above you. It's within you. It's a part of you. Once again, it's that merging of the physical self and the spiritual self in equal representation for an expression into the world that makes things better. And each and every one of us can do that. That's what Christmas is all about. It's not necessarily about Jesus, who displayed the Christ to the highest level of human potential. It's not necessarily about December 25th, the day that he was born. It's about, I have the Christ within me. I recognize it on this day. I go forth to not only claim it, but to express it and make things a little bit better. Now, if we all do that, if we all commit ourselves to doing that, think how much better the world's going to become. Think about what we can do just in this fall spiritual community. Think what we can do just in this Kansas City community. Think what we can do in this state, in this country. Simply by going forth and saying, I have the ability, I have the potential to make things better. See, what Paul realized is that he'd spent most of his life making people's life worse. And when it suddenly dawned on him that he had the potential to make people's lives better, and he started practicing that, it was such an overwhelming feeling. It was such a fulfilling sense of life. It was such a rich experience that he became so zealous with it, he dedicated the rest of his life to that, to spreading the teachings of Jesus and making things a little bit better. So as we go into meditation, I ask you to think about that. The next time you're in a place or you're in a position or you're in a situation or a circumstance where you're feeling a little bit edgy, a little bit tight, maybe some of your buttons are getting pushed, you're getting a little antsy, just think to yourself, through the Christ in me, I can make things a little bit better. We'll now move into meditation.
Let's